So a quick update here. I'm doing some more sanding here on the transom at the hull to deck joint. What I've opted to do, I've got a lot of different advice. Some people agreed with each other. Definitely a lot of differing opinions on how this repair should go. I did have a number of people who did say that they have or thought it would be okay to just do basically tape, build up some tape here, basically on 1 inch on either side of this approximately. And I've opted to not do that, even though I'd rather do that because it'd be easier to blend in the repair. I am going to extend it out 3 inches on either side. Well, actually, it's going to be 2 down to here, about here, approximately, and then coming from the crack, wrapping all the way around to here, it's about 3 inches. But what I've done here, I am attempting to taper it for proper strength and to aid in blending here. So I've got a little bevel, so it's deeper right here than up at this lip. So I'm going to do multiple, basically tape all along this edge, and then I'm going to go over it with a larger 5-inch wide piece of tape or cloth, extending all the way. I think I'm going to stop here at either either point here, and it just slipped my mind. What is this called? This is called a rub rail, or the flange. Well, this is the rub rail, but it goes over the flange here. So anyway, I'm going to go flange to flange, the initial tape, and then we'll worry about these repairs later. But I'm going to repair this joint, then I'll be able to pull out the wooden wedges and get up and build up from underneath, because I do have access to another side from here. I cut an access hole here. Do not have access. This wood is intact. I don't want to damage it, but at least I have access to the nuts for the upper gudgeon. So, and then this access port will be over here. Just needs to be trimmed up a little bit more because it's still sticking out. So I've tapered this edge, and I've also tapered this edge because I don't want to bump in the cockpit a lip here, because there's no lip anywhere else in the cockpit. I'm thinking, you know, you're sitting up against it, even though it will barely be a raised lip here, it still might be noticeable, not just from a visual standpoint, but if you're leaning up against it. Maybe I'm being OCD about it, but anyway, I've tapered this, so I'm gonna have it, it's gonna be flush with the rest of this. So if you can kind of see, it's gonna come out and build up and fill this void here that I've tapered off, and we'll slowly sand and taper it out. Definitely gonna sand off a lot of the glass I'm putting on because the cloth I'm using is pretty thick. So there's a little bit of waste there, but it'll give it a nice taper to help distribute that load without having a really tough epoxy and fabric going over the polyester. So tapering is the proper way to do it for strength and avoiding stress concentration. So, all right, back to work. So I knew something was going on here when I was sanding this. Just a hole filled with silicone, no big deal. Now that I've run the sander over it and spread little micro silicone particles everywhere. So all I can do is try to clean up the best I can and hope for the best. But I'm gonna pick this out, rub some solvents or vacuum, and then clean up with solvents, vacuum again. Hopefully it doesn't cause any issues. Okay, so this gives you a general idea of the taper I've tried to achieve here. You see the wedge-shaped light coming from behind the popsicle stick. So I'm going to build up off that ledge, and we'll have a nice taper to this edge. I'm going to need to do some more sanding, fairing down at the bottom where it tapers away. But overall, I think that'll do.
So I made a blend of the high density filler, a little bit of silica, and a bunch of chopped fibers. I had some fiberglass I just cut up really fine, varying pieces. I guess there's some large pieces in there too, but this is what I'm working with. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pry this open a little bit. Yeah, I think that'll be nice. The consistency here is very odd.
Alright, so there's a little bit of footage that I ended up missing, so I took some pictures from my cell phone that I found of the finished job. I did end up laying up fiberglass cloth over the flanges. You saw me add the filler compound I had mixed up, which had a odd consistency with what I had added in there, but it ended up actually working well in the end. But I laid over some glass cloth on the flanges, and as you can see, it needs to be sanded down. Actually, at this point, that's already happened. I'm preparing for fairing right now. The project is a little bit more ahead than this video progress, but not by far. So this is actually turned out better than I expected at that transom. The flanges do need a little bit more work after the overall fairing of the transom repair, but the flanges have turned out better than expected. I know they don't look that great in the video. There's a lot of extra glass, but I've ended up sanding that down since then, and they look a lot better. And I have begun to prep for the starboard side flange. I've ground out the material that was underneath, and now the upper half that I've already repaired. So that repair will basically be the template for the underside of the flange. And I today have laid up some glass on the inside to reinforce that area. And once that cures, I'll go ahead and finish up that flange. I'll have a video on that. So progress has slowed down on the boat. I've taken a new job recently, and it's definitely gotten in the way of the boat, but that's okay. I'm still making a little bit of progress here and there. So thanks for watching Project Seahorse and putting up with my mayhem of a documentary here. So thanks a lot.